Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Steph from the Hot Moon Podcast, and we're gonna talk about the Tory Lanez verdict a little bit. Just a short video, and look, Tory Lanez was found guilty by all 12 jurors of all three charges related to the shooting of Meg Thee Stallion. So, I think what we can all take away from this, and this is not really about picking sides or picking a camp, Team Tory, Team Meg, and people are gonna be like, everybody needs to owe Meg an apology and stuff like that. I mean, I think that, when this case was unfolding, there was people had a lot of questions, right? People didn't think that, Meg was credible. They didn't think that her friend or her ex-friend Kelsey was credible, but ultimately Tory was found guilty, right? And, I think the biggest thing that we can appreciate in this whole process is that we allow for due process to take place, right? Everybody had their chance in court. The prosecution had their chance. The defense for Tory had their chance, and the prosecution did a better job than Tory's defense, right? I think, we really shouldn't, there's going to be a narrative of, the continued narrative of protecting women and, we shouldn't victim shame and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that's separate, right? Victim shame in the court of public opinion is different than what actually went down in court, right? At the end of the day, we need to appreciate the fact that the courts made this decision. They came to their conclusion, and they had a trial, right? Okay, so both parties have their opportunity to present their case. And hey, some people may not like the results. Some people are thrilled with results, right? And that's the beauty about being in this country, is that we have a trial, and regardless of public opinion, we got to go based on the facts. And what was presented to the jury felt was strong enough to put Tory away, I think there's just going to be this big wave of people wanting additional answers, right? Or they want to fight for a different result, There's going to be people wanting, Tory should appeal, or, this should be a mistrial. And, look, we understand that there was all kinds of crazy variables in this case. Like I said, with the witnesses not being credible, and, the defense really trying to, discredit Meg and, Kelsey's friend as well too, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that she had to take she had an immunity deal in place, right? Before she gave her testimony and stuff like that, right? So, look, and if the prosecution or defense didn't like that, then they should have argued their case better, right? I think that we should all be happy that we got a verdict. I think we all should be happy that ultimately this was tried in court, and if what was presented to the juries was outweighed, what the prosecution presented to the jury outweighed what the defense could, then we have to go with that, right? But people who aren't involved in the case are going to get emotional about this and start trying to play, detective, and trying to find ways that, how Tory can appeal and try. I don't think Tory has any grounds to appeal, honestly. Considering the fact that all 12 juries, found him guilty. I don't know what he can do if he does appeal and there's another trial. I don't know what he can do, and if he has the money to even fight it, right? It is a sad situation all the way around, considering that Meg was she is the victim. She was injured in this shooting, okay? And unfortunately, Tory Lanez found himself in a situation where all fingers were pointing to him, all evidence was pointing to him that he did shot, right? I know people are going to get into, the whole gun residue and all that other stuff. Look, they found it enough. The juries and prosecution and the court found it enough that it's going to all point back to Tory, right? So, and Tory did have an unregistered gun in California too, right? So again, he put himself in that position as well too, right? So, this is it's not a win for anybody. Unfortunately, people are still going to attack Meg in the court of public opinion. Maybe not as much. I know she's going to get a lot of support now, but also, Tory Lanez is going to jail. Tory Lanez is a father. And he's not going to be here for his son, and potentially when he's done with his time, he's going to have to get deported back to Canada. So I think taking a step back, I think everything that happened played out the way it needed to happen. Okay. And I mean, if Tory had really such a strong case, then why didn't the defense, play a bigger role in making sure that that was executed to the juries, right, or presented that to the juries, right? But no. So yeah, I don't think he has any grounds to appeal, and I think that we should all be happy that both sides had their opportunities, and we should respect the fact that due process did take place. I mean, this incident happened over 2 years ago. They did the trials, they did everything, they had a jury, okay, and we have to accept it, right? I mean, there's not we shouldn't be picking camps here and jumping to conclusion, right? And I think that's good. I think it's good. It's good for the justice system, right? Whether we think because here's the problem, right? If Tory was found not guilty, then the justice system is flawed, and you know what I'm saying? And if in this case, he was found guilty. So I mean, we can't have it both ways, right? I mean, it worked. Okay, we may not like the results, depending on what side or whose camp you're in. If you want to play that game, I'm on the camp of just respecting the fact that we had a trial and due process made the proper decision, right? The prosecution had and defense had evidence and materials that we don't have access to, and they felt they made the best decision, and we have to go with that. We can't get so upset with each other or with Meg or her friend or whatever. Like, everybody in this trial was questionable, right? So based on that too, they made the best decision. They had to make the best decision they could based on the evidence and information that was presented to them. And so this is a win for due process, because again, I'm always in the mindset that everybody deserves their fair shot in court. Tory's team and Meg's team, they had it, right? They had their fair shot, regardless of the outside noise and public opinion. Both parties, or at least the prosecution and Tory's defense team, had that opportunity, and the defense lost. And Tory has to take accountability, and everybody involved only knows what really happened that night. And again, unfortunately, Tory found himself in a situation to be there, considering the people he was around, dealing with Meg and dealing with, Kelsey, and having intimate relations with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just not a good environment, and you have a weapon, and, hey. So yeah, I think this is a win overall for the court system, and I think it was a good job. So anyways, guys, please like, subscribe. I'm out.